Well, you're really spoiled for choice with a brand like Beta. You know, when you just stop and think of their laundry list of bloody models out there. You know, just on their standard RR enduro models. You know, you've got four strokes, 4 2-strokes. You know, then on top of that at the moment, you've got an RX 300, the new motocross, 2-stroke. Then you've got a 450 motocrosser coming, and then you've got a cross trainer. It's like sitting behind us over here, detuned 2-stroke for, which is completely different philosophy and available in both 250 and 450. So what have we got there? 8, 10, 12 models, I think I said. So, but that's not it. You know, the incredible thing with Beta, and it's such an ambitious, for a family-owned Italian business. They've got another 8 models, so everything in the RR range, those 8 models, also has an RR racing range. So the really interesting thing for us, and talking about being spoiled for choice, within that pool of models, we tested 4 of the 300 2-strokes last year, and I think one of the really interesting takeouts from that for me was that a lot of people who were buying the up-spec racing RR racing models, particularly on the 2-stroke side, and not the right people to be buying it. Clearly, it comes with the Kayaba suspension, some up-specs, got a whole lot of bits and pieces, but, and it's going to be for a bigger, heavier, racier guy, ready to race, out of the box, developed by, Steve Holcomb and Brad Freeman, 2 world champions who've dominated the sport, in recent years. But it's, more aggressive engines, more aggressive suspension. So, whereas what I think a lot of Beta dealers are finding is that, someone's like, oh shit, I'm a racer, I'm racing some hard enduro at the moment, let's get it. But wrong, a smart dealer will talk them out of it, but some guys, no, they're racers. So, so they found themselves on too hard a suspension on really snotty stuff, and, just not the right bike, and a too aggressive engine, particularly on the 2-strokes, which are much more aggressive. It was kind of interesting because, Geoff Ballard, we do a lot of testing with, Jeff's had a couple of these cross trainers over the last couple of years as Transmoto project bikes, and has absolutely loved the thing. So it's been the most easiest, or the easiest bike to ever sell. You've had people lining up to buy it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
But Geoff, you had an interesting experience recently. You went up to collect this RR 390, the standard model, recently in Queensland. At the same time, yes.
Yep.
At the same time, you said, oh look, I'm going to try. It was 250 or 300 RR racing 2-stroke.
Yeah. Well, the main reason was I just thought 3 years in a row, people are getting sick of it, talking about the same thing. I know there's some changes on the new cross trainers.
Yep.
And I'm actually now really wanting to get one again, but I just thought, oh, what's wrong? I can try a 300, so I thought I'll see if I can get one, and it all came together, so I thought, yeah, I must be fine, and one of my mates got one, he loves it. So yeah, I organised that, thinking that'll spice things up a bit and give it a go, and then you wanted a bike picked up, so I picked up yours, and it's pretty funny. So I came back and I jumped on it, I was pretty excited, and first thing I did was ride it on a moto track, and I loved it. Thought it was fantastic. Impressed with the suspension, and it was.
Sorry, just to clarify for people, that's Kayaba, so it's closed cartridge, front fork, and for the first time ever, instead of just an up-spec ZF Sachs shock, it's also got a Kayaba shock.
It's got a shock and fork in the Kayaba, and it was impressive. It was really good. So I was pretty excited from there to then go into the bush, and the bush here in Hampton's pretty technical, and there's a lot of square edge and roots and rocks and things like that. Anyway, I did that, and I didn't like it. I kind of hated it.
Well, not there anyway, right?
Not there, yeah. So that is my life a bit up here, and this XT thing is awesome in that stuff. Really love it. So I thought, oh geez, what am I doing? And I was off. Basically, what it affected, or how it affected me, was I was off balance a lot. In accelerating and in braking, and it was probably the suspension a lot too, with it being, too hard, I suppose. So anyway, it wasn't that planted feel that I really enjoy in everything I get. I really want to feel like I'm going to go straight. I don't want to feel like I'm going to be deflected if it's uneasy, So I really didn't like it, and after spending 24 years in race team and modifying, I'm kind of over that stuff, and I just wanted a bike I can enjoy for the year and ride. And I was thinking of the 4-day, and then I think, oh man, this thing needs some energy, and I could have made it better for sure, and I feel a bit bad that I didn't persevere, but I just went, I don't want to do that. Didn't really like it, love this thing, still have this, so, I compared a bit and I go, oh, it's so easy, so I am really keen to try the new one of these because, you know, the few little things that have gone wrong, I wrecked the shrouds with, I grip a bike like crazy.
Yeah,
and
they've changed all the shrouds quite a bit.
They've changed all the shrouds, they've made quite a few improvements, and I was thinking, oh, I might fall in love with this other thing, but obviously that's changed. But what the problem was is I fell in love with your bike. So yeah, then, you know, I was a bit disappointed and it wasn't really for me. I know there's, as I said,
the racing model wasn't for you. Yeah,
the
but
racing
fair,
model wasn't for me, yeah.
You also sort of said to me in the greater majority of the snotty stuff where you need that plush compliant feel and a real tractable engine.
Yeah.
You know, 300 two-stroke, you know, with Kayaba suspension wasn't your thing. But you also, so remember you said you went out and did some grass tracks, some sand, and I think QMP, and you're like, around a motocross track, almost like, it's, of course it's going to be good, right?
It's pretty good, yeah. Anyway, it's not really my life. I do a bit of that, but I kind of wanted something else, and thinking ahead and going the 4-day and different things. I just thought, anyway, it all basically started changing in my brain because I think that bike's like the best thing I've ever ridden, pretty much. So, so that changed everything for me, and I went, well, I just jumped on. I haven't done a thing. So I, you know, not wanting to modify stuff like I have done forever. I just want something I enjoy to jump on. So it kind of all stemmed from there, and you know, one thing I didn't do was have the 300 Kayaba suspension one. I would have been interested to try the ZF, right? You know, maybe that would have worked better. But just coincidentally, I had that thing, and it's got that suspension, and for me and here and everything, it was great. So it kind of all led from that, and I have done a bit of testing because I had both bikes there for a while. I've since given the other one back, but I went through a period where I changed and put the Kayaba suspension
in this thing, right?
In that thing,
right?
Yeah, it was
which fitted straight in, pretty much.
Yes. As I got started, I thought, oh god, it'll be different in the triple clamps, but obviously they've made it easy. So yeah, I had a vernier gauge, I checked all that, and I go, yeah, beauty, it's going to work. So I spent a day mucking around more or less, and it was really interesting because now I'm kind of thinking like what we could call special test mode or whatever. If you're just riding the thing, it's great standard. I really rate it, as I've said before. I think it's
the 390
awesome.
talking about now, yeah.
And the standard suspension on the RR.
Yep.
And so just interested to see. I didn't like it in the other bike, but there's a lot of things changing. Obviously 2-stroke, 4-stroke, where the motor's sitting, maybe even the frame's changed. Don't know.
Different weights, different engine braking, different weight bias.
Yeah, so I just an exercise. I thought I'm going to go out today and play around with that. And
so you took, it was a 2MP,
I did it.
You put the Kayaba in the 390.
Yeah, and it all fit. Everything was right. I had to change the sag on the rear shock. That changed quite a bit with a heavier bike, but it was excellent. Like, it was really, really good. And I did it quite methodically from all the years of, you know, being able to figure out the best way of testing. And so I started with I went back to scratch again on completely standard, on the standard suspension on the RR, and then I went through and clicked it up and made it suit better, and I was impressed. It was really good. I was honestly stopping sometimes going, damn, this thing's great. Anyway, I changed the suspension and put the KYB in, and I really didn't know what to expect at first. I go, oh, maybe it's going to be too harsh or something, and it wasn't. Yeah, and it was great. It was really, really good, and I guess in a way I do favour it over this stuff. And
in that race scenario, when you, like you say, special test mode.
Yeah, it's still good. Like, it's still compliant and it goes straight. It feels very planted. Everything's good about it. Yeah. But I don't know if it's better in any way until you push it more. And I don't want to say that like this is no good if you push it. You know, but it is ultimately a bit better. You know, for what I want to feel like I want to do in a special test 4-day type of thing. Yeah. So yeah, it was great. It was a pleasant surprise, and I was like, damn, it's even better, you know. But both of them are good. I think they delivered this RR in a perfect way. You know, to me, it's good for so many people the way it comes. And sure, if you're going to race, or if you feel like you're heavier or faster, or, you know, everybody wants to say they're faster. We have an ego problem in Australia for sure. But in all honesty, most people are going to be so happy with that. But there is a bit of an improvement, and I did feel it. You know, it did feel pretty bloody good. Yeah. We were
looking at the numbers before. I think just the differentials, and typically I think it's between $12,000 and $2,000 going from the RR to its counterpart, the RR Racing.
Yeah.
You know, I think in a lot of people's mind that's accounted for by the move from the ZF to the Kayaba suspension. The Kayaba really at the moment too, it's it's riding on a wave of popularity, right? You say Kayaba and it's
Yeah,
kind of like code
yeah,
for
it's
this thing's good, but we'd probably be silly not to, you know, and I think we said with the 390, the differential is $1,800, I want to say.
yeah.
But
There's a few changes with a bit of bling and different.
Well, I was about to say, listen, you know, you get a quick release front axle, you get reinforced handguards, Metzeler tyres, alloy foot pegs. The ones I think you said they're a bit too big and don't give you as much clearance.
There's not a lot wrong with them, but the standard ones are great. So,
rear sprocket with I think it's a alloy steel combo, ZF sprockets. A dedicated blue racing seat. And then some other
it's got a little time card
anodised
holder in it too. So it's good for the auto,
alloy parts and a few bits and pieces, and obviously
Yeah.
the differentiating yourself with the red, white, and blue versus the all red. So
yes,
can you understand? Like a lot of people are going $1,700 differential. I've made that. I'm not a racer maybe, but I kind of like all these extra bits, and I get in Kayaba suspension. It's not a huge
just
differential.
don't kid yourself. That's all I'm going to say. There's not a lot wrong with that thing at all, and for a lot of people, it's probably good or better than the other, perhaps, you know. Just don't kid yourself. Just, you know, like that bike set up really, really well for an average to above average. You know, I'm pretty average nowadays and maybe a bit above average, but it's really, really good. And I'm just thinking of a few things, tests and everything. I go, yeah, there is some merit in the other stuff, and seems like I'm going to get to ride one of those, which I'm pretty excited about in the 4 days. So, yeah.
4 days,
Happy
WA,
days.
Kayaba suspension, pea gravel and those gnarly conditions over there.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, usually they end up getting pretty flogged out.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you start getting beaten up, this thing's going to look after you. If you just go, oh, I'm just going to finish, and you know, that sort of suspension's awesome. It's bloody unreal in many, many ways. But the other stuff, it's not like the other stuff's bad in the harsher bumps too. It's great.
But the takeout really is that it's, you know, it's on beta dealers to actually analyse or to assess the, you know, whether the guy's making an emotional purchase. You know, who's going to shut them down when you're paying an extra $1,800, but just really grill them and ask them how they're using it, what their riding style is, what their ability is.
What I want to get across is I wasn't a fan of this stuff in the early days, and I am now. So don't presume it's not going to be any good, because it is. It's pretty bloody good, you know. And every year they're putting a lot of effort into fixing it, and I rate it. It's pretty good. It's great way to deliver a bike. Standard is like that. Yeah.
Well, mate, it's going to be fascinating to see you when you're basically amalgamating, you know, like an RR model with some Kayaba suspension out of the RR racing, and see how you go in 4 days in WA. Eh?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Cool.
This is number 32.
Jesus. But you're only riding the over 45s class.
I am riding the over 45s. Yeah. Yep. So I'm 64. So see how I go. I'm not expecting to win, that's for sure, but I'm expecting to have a good time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.